Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Zephyr Epic. You can use promo code Hockey Season, capital H, capital S, all one word, Hockey Season. That will get you $5 off your order. That is at ZephyrEpic.com. They've got you covered for all of your trading card needs. They are also all over the social platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, whatever it is. They've got you covered, so be sure to go check them out. And if you choose to shop online, they also have a retail location in Surrey. If you choose to use the online route, though, Hockey Season is the promo code you're going to want to use. Free shipping, Canada-wide, on any order over $50. My name is Dave Quadrelli. I'm joined, as always, by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer is Alex Allard. And Chris, you're wearing the polo. I love it. The polo. I have a matching one. Got a golf shirt as well with that logo on it, and you've pulled a pack here. So what did you pull out of this pack? Anything to write home about?
Well, we got Seattle Kraken are in town tonight, so we're gonna watch that tonight's game. So that'll be exciting. Canucks are playing a Kraken, but I did pull a. What is that? Who is this, anyways? Braden Point, cool looking Braden Point card here. So that's cool. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Center of Attention. That's a cool looking card. That must be a new one here for the for this year's series. What am I looking at? Series 1. This must be a new one there. So that's a nice looking card. I like it. Good stuff.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on here on the YouTube? What's going on here? There's a new logo. Everything Canucks Convo is all branded with the red and the yellow. And I hear you and Alex, you guys are freaking loving on each other here about the new logo and everything. What's going on? We got a green logo here on YouTube. Something new. What's going on here?
It's the rebranded Canucks Army logo. They've changed up. Well, the logo is the same. They've just kind of changed the color. So now it's green on it's white on a green background.
That's not going to be good for the old green screen here. I know we're going to have trouble. I'm already worried about stuff already with the green stuff. This is the same problem every time I'm showing Abbotsford highlights. I got the freaking logo coming through the back. What's going to happen with the green logo on a green screen? I'm just worried about it.
I don't think that's how it works. I think you'll be okay.
Okay, well, I was up in the air Game Time Decision today for today's show. Did I tell you this? I went out last night.
You told me you went out last night. It was news to me that you were a Game Time Decision, though.
Yeah, Game Time Decision, but pulled through. My best friend got back from camp. He works up in Alberta, and it's kind of, I don't gamble often. I don't gamble that often, but when I do, it's when my best friend comes back into town. He comes here, he gets in on a late flight. We'll normally go out for a night. He does, he works 30 days on or whatever, 20 days on, something like that. So I see him every few weeks. And last night was a good one. $1,400 win at the casino, baby, on the lobster slots. I was playing some slots with lobsters on them. So I've had a really good week. I won my fantasy hockey pool on Sunday. Boom. Nice little chunk of change there. And then with the casino last night, whoa, I'm living like you, Quads. I got all this money in my bank account now. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not used to this. I'm not living like you over there. You got 3 bedrooms in your apartment there, pretty much. A couple of dogs, all that stuff. I don't know what to do with the money.
You should spend it on dog food, because that's what it seems like I spend all my money on right now.
Yeah, that'll get you. That was when I had a cat back in the day. He was a big. We used to get him a lot of like the expensive food sometimes here and there, but there was this cheap food, the cheapest cat food on the market. I don't know if it still is, but this is probably, this is like 2012. So, it's 11 years ago. God, I'm getting old. But the cat food that we used to get for Squirt, who was the best cat of all time, Lisa says, spend it on your fiance. Literally, that's where it's going. I got a wedding in a few months. But Alley Cat was the cat food that we used to buy for Squirt back in the day. It was the cheapest stuff. I don't know how much it was. A few bucks for a bag for last him a couple of weeks. And he was the biggest, strongest cat you'll ever see. I got to show a picture of Squirt one day here on the show. That cat was a monster. He was one of the best cats of all time. And he loved the cheap Alley Cat food. So that was a horrible story. All right, let's get to some stuff.
Everybody loves Squirt, though. When you show a picture of Squirt, even the podcast listeners will love him. Come on. Nobody
understands. Squirt. I'll dig up a photo of him. He was the biggest cat you'll ever see. Like, he was, he would run the block, and sometimes I'd come home and I'd be driving home, coming in, pulling in the driveway, and he'd just be fighting a cat. I saw Squirt get hit by a car one time, and he just walked away. Like, my cat got hit by a car. I was like, oh my God, I saw it. And then I run out there and I'm like, oh no, like the car took most of the damage. He was a huge cat. He was a good cat, Squirt. I think he lived to be like 18 years old. He's a good cat.
Yeah, I love seeing pictures of Squirt.
Want to know
Okay, let's move on
why
here.
I named him Squirt?
No, tell us.
Patreon.com/Canucksconvo. There you go. We got to do a Patreon here pretty soon too. You don't come to the main studio here anymore, so I don't know when we're going to do a Patreon.
Well, I'll be there in the summer. The times we do shows, it's like I technically, like, I might be able to make it work before the end of the season because now he's a little bit older and I can leave him home alone for a little bit. So yeah, we'll see. I might be able to. I might be able to make it work one day to get out there.
There's a 20 seconds of dog on that. What's the update on? Because you got to be able to leave your dog at home a little bit. Have you tried that yet?
Yeah. So basically, I've been leaving to go work. I go work in somewhere else. I don't work in the apartment anymore. I bring my laptop and go work somewhere, just like different cafe or whatever. So that's how I'm trying to train him not to have separation anxiety, but he can still only hold his pee for like 3 hours, right? So you can't really leave him longer than that. So like, I leave probably 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm back right before the show starts, play with him for like half hour, put him back down before the show starts, and then show. And then it's a short nap right now. But anyways, we're not going to waste any more time with this. No one cares. It's okay. Everybody knows how the puppy works. Okay,
all right,
let's go.
There's not a lot of stuff to really get into. We are going to play some quotes from today. I think there's some interesting quotes. There's a couple things I want to get to about what to watch for tonight. Initially, let's get it started. I think we'll start here with just the lines. Let's get the lines up here first and just kind of break our way through. The Vancouver Canucks playing against the Seattle Kraken tonight. Kraken are a good team, man. I got some more stuff on them I want to dive into later. Did you see their game last night? 8-1 shellacking on the Arizona Coyotes. But some interesting things from the lines. There was only 6 defensemen on the ice today at practice. No sign of Guillaume Brisebois, Noah Lannon or Juleson for the rest of the season. It's what it's looking like. So the line combinations, we'll start with the defense pairings, actually. Quentin Hughes and Kyle Burrows are going to be playing together. Akito Hirose and Tyler Myers, they're going to be on the second pairing together. And then Jack Rathbone and Ethan Bear as the third pairing. We got a whole segment on Jack Rathbone coming up here in a little bit. But I want to show this as well, the power play, the second power play unit. How about Akito Hirose getting an opportunity to play on the second power play unit with the Vancouver Canucks? An NHL moment for heck. He's going to get a good run. I tweeted this out earlier today, and some of the replies were pretty funny looking at this power play unit, because the power play unit for the Vancouver Canucks today, the second power play unit that is Sheldon Dries, Akito Hirose, Anthony Beauvillier, Connor Garland, and Jack Rathbone. There's been some exciting second power play units in Vancouver over the years. I don't know if this is one of them. This would be a very good AHL power play. But there's some NHL players there. I think Garland doesn't really find it on the power play. I like him more at 5-on-5. But Villiers in the bumper hasn't really worked out. They tried that on the first unit when he first got here. That hasn't worked out. It's an island of misfit toys here on the second power play unit. And I think having Akito Hirose in there makes it even more interesting. But Rick Tocchet spoke about it today, giving Hirose an opportunity. He spoke pretty highly. He said when he went back and watched the game tape and actually watched the film, he was actually even more impressed. Just with a lot of little decision making by Hirose. And I'm excited to see him play another game. I wasn't blown away with his first game. I thought he was fine-ish. I just didn't think it was, great, but something in his game Rick Tocchet really liked. Let's hear Rick Tocchet here talking about why Hirose is getting an opportunity on that second power play unit.
We needed on the second unit, probably a two defense unit, and his skill level and his hockey IQ. So why not throw him in there, evaluate him? Playing a good game, a good team like Seattle going to the playoffs. It's good to throw a guy in there and see what he can do in those pressure situations, and then he'll have a good taste this summer.
That was talked about a little bit today from Rick Tocchet about just the summer stuff. And I mean, it's kind of a regular thing now. It's almost like the swear jar, right? For Rick Tocchet, when he says the word summer, like he's got to throw like a toonie in there into a jar or something. But Your thoughts on Hirose getting an opportunity here on the second power play unit? He's going to be playing on the left half wall, it looks like. That's what it was in practice today, anyways.
Really good AHL power play, but I don't think you're too upset about that. Like, let's be honest here. Akito Hirose had a really solid first game, I thought. And I think you kind of spoke about it there. The things that really stood out were his smarts with the puck, especially breaking out of his own end. And obviously that's not too much of what you're doing on the power play, but his skill with the puck on his stick, I want to see more of that. Like, you're not getting a ton of offensive opportunity at 5-on-5 if you're Akito Hirose. Like, you're playing with Tyler Myers. He didn't have a ton of chances to show off his offensive chops. I love it. I love giving him the shot. This is what this team should have been doing like 20 games ago, right? And how often do we talk about we would really like to see this guy in this role. We'd really like to see Kravtsov, Podkolzin playing with Elias Pettersson and whoever. I really like to see it for Akito Hirose getting this opportunity. And like Talkett said, getting a chance to play against a team like the Seattle Kraken, it's going to show him a lot of what he needs to do going into the summer. And that's the value for these college free agents, right? It's not, okay, well, I'm going to make this team. I'm going to be able to play in the NHL for sure. Like, the reason you put them in these games is so that they can see, okay, I'm pretty far off here, and this is what I need to work on, right? Because it's one thing for someone to tell you, right? Like, it's one thing for the development staff to sit down Akito Hirose and say, okay, you need to work on this. Any player, not just Hirose, obviously. It's one thing to hear it from someone, but we've spoken to players who, get that taste at the NHL level, right? And then they go back down to the AHL, and it doesn't even have to be a college guy, just anybody. Like any AHL player that gets a shot at the NHL level, like even Archie Bains, for example. Let's take him for example. The reason we want to see him get this shot at the end of the year isn't because, he's going to make this team better and they're going to win more games because of it. It's to give him that chance where you say, hey, you had a really solid season in the AHL. Here's what you need to do to get to the NHL level. Give him a shot at the NHL, and then he can figure it out. Like, he can see, okay, well, I need to work on this. And, they were right. Not that he distrusts them or anything like that, but he's going to get here and he's going to see, oh, wow, okay, this is what I need to work on. And that's what you want for these players at this point.
Yeah, I think it's a step in development, right? Like, getting the opportunity is a huge step in the development. I think that part also, that step, without that step, you don't really know exactly what to push in the summer. And I actually asked Rick Tocchet that today. Like, what would be something that a player, like, what would be an exceptional summer for a player and how they work out about it. And a lot of it came down to the testing. He said, like, they're going to test their numbers for how hard they actually worked in the off season. The expectation was very high, but I think another one was like understanding their role with the organization, what they want. And I think a lot of that comes from playing these NHL games. I'm a little sent here because, like, Akito Hirose going onto the second power play unit, the way that Tocchet mentioned it in the quote that we just played was like, yeah, it's a two defenseman unit, but it's like, man, you talk about giving these guys opportunity. I'm looking at Aiden McDonough, who was probably the best power play scorer in the NCAA over the last 3 seasons. I'd play him on the power play. He has a lot of chemistry with Jack Rathbone. They skate together all summer. They play together as kids. If Rathbone's going to be the power play quarterback on that second unit, give him the guy that he knows and trusts on his side. Like, make his passes over there to his buddy there, and let McDonough actually do that thing that he's been doing his whole career. The thing that he's best at is scoring from the right half wall on the power play. That's like what when watching him over the NCAA over the years, I'm just thinking, like, McDonough is going to score at the NHL level from that spot. His shot is that good. It is going to score. So when you see Akito Hirose getting an opportunity on a power play unit ahead of Aiden McDonough, I understand where Tocchet's coming from. They really want to have 2 defensemen on that second unit for some reason. Harmon said this on this show a lot. Harmon hates 2 defensemen on a power play unit. I don't think Hirose is going to add as much offense as Aiden McDonough would to a second power play unit. I guess the argument against that is, okay, but they're not going to get scored on as much. But in my eyes, it's like, hey, what is it, 6 games left in the season? Do you really care about getting scored on when you're on the power play at this point? Like, are these points that critical where, I think you need to open up that door for McDonough to see what a power play looks like at the NHL level, because he crushed it. He crushed it in the NCAA. He was the best power play scorer in the NCAA for years. A little surprising to see Hirose get the opportunity. A guy who, like, I don't even think Hirose was doing power play 1 for Minnesota State Mankato. Like, that was Livingstone's spot. Like it's a wild thing for me to see this happen. But I mean, good opportunity for the kid, of course. I'm happy for Hirose, but as a whole, looking at development, I'd like to see McDonough get a little bit of time there. I still hope to see him in a top 6 role. Happy to see McDonough continue to play and be in the NHL lineup, but I was a little surprised. Probably the most shocking thing I saw on the ice today was Akito Hirose on the second power play unit. So we'll see it tonight, matching up against the Kraken. It's going to be a good game, and the opportunity, it's like you said, it is a very good opportunity for Hirose, and I think it's a good step in development for him. So we'll see what happens there. I did also want to play this quote, and I'll get you to just react to it, from Brock Besser, and talking about the playoffs and a couple of little things, about how difficult and, basically in his words, it sucks, right? So the fact that this team continues to get to this point in the season and the players have to come out and talk to us with 6 games left and no chance of the playoffs, it does suck. I have to imagine it really sucks. I mean, this is, we do a podcast about the Canucks. We would love playoff games. They play the game. They would love it 100 times more than what we would hope for to get playoff games. I know these players want to do this and play in these important games. So let's hear Brock Besser. I'll let you react off of this, Quads, your thoughts on this. So here's Brock Besser talking about basically this point in the season and, matching up against a team that's heading into the playoffs and what it means to the Vancouver Canucks.
It could definitely be a little hard, but then again, though, there's a lot of it's a lot of guys that need to make an impact and, show what they're worth to this team and fighting for spots or whatnot. So I think this is a really important time, and, this is, like I said, it's a time for us to build that culture, and we're sick of not making playoffs. Like, this sucks coming here every year and being in this time span, and I mean, there's not much else to say other than we got to build the culture the right way and work to get better.
Yeah, no surprises there. No real surprises, right? Brock Besser is one of us, clearly, where he's sick of this team not making the playoffs, and, kind of alluded to the coming in at this time of the year when the team's doing really well. It's kind of annoying at this point where you're not seeing the results carry over, and didn't get mentioned. We didn't play the clip, but right before that, he was talking about how the Seattle Kraken seemingly turned their fortunes around after a tough first season, obviously, for the Kraken. Spoke about how they have a good culture over there and how the Canucks need to start building their culture. Obviously talked about when Rick Tocchet came in, how they've started to build their culture in that regard. So look, it's the question that keeps getting asked and is going to continue to be getting asked until puck drop next season, Chris. Is this turnaround for the Canucks legit, right? And there's no right answer. A lot of people say, yes, it is because of this. A lot of people say, no, it's not because of this. And honestly, there's no right answer. There's no right answer at this point in time. You're guessing. Everybody's guessing because everybody thought the Boudreaux bump was real. You're just guessing right now. Everybody's just guessing. And, one side is going to be proven right. It's just everybody's guessing, right? And a lot of people are going to say, yeah, it's real, but they also said that the Boudreaux bump was real. So they're going to take the victory lap because, Tocchet turned this team around if that happens next year. But, there's no way to know for sure. There's just no way to know for sure with this team. You want to believe it's real. I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't believe that it's real. It's just that we've seen it before. And I think that's what Besser's kind of alluding to there is just we need to it needs to start actually counting for something, because coming in at this time of the year, it sucks. Just missing the playoffs, it's horrible.
Yeah, and to your point, nobody should be taking victory laps until this team's in the freaking playoffs. That's how it should really feel, especially the way that this organization is set up, right? There's a lot of things. This team is going to push for the playoffs. I did see an email today about membership for the Vancouver Canucks, and one of the big things that you got as part of getting on this membership was early access to playoff tickets. So the big push is coming, Quads. Tell you what, you wait till they get Leo Carlson. He's going to be popping right on that email next week. But aside from that, yeah, I found the quotes pretty good from Brock Besser. I felt like today, just kind of hearing him talk, and he stood there with media for about 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that. It was a pretty long one for Brock Besser. You get that sometimes from Besser, where he's he wants to talk about, he wants to talk some days. And today was actually even funny, little behind the scenes stuff. They came right off the ice. We're all in the locker room waiting for it. And Brock saw his number on the board. So that means you have to talk. And he just like came right up, skates on and everything. He's ready to go. Just like, it was one of those days where Brock wanted to talk. And I felt like there was actually some passion for the way that he answered some of these questions. And, a lot of that, there was a lot of people. I sent out a tweet of one of the quotes that he said. A lot of people were really ripping into Besser on social media. And it's like, I think it's really tough for Brock because there was so much hope and potential in his first season, right? Like what he did in that first year was unreal. Obviously the injury really hurt. I think the next year and the next little bit, and the injuries that have happened since then, it's difficult because I think a lot of people will look at him. A lot of the fan base looks at him from his rookie season and says, man, that would be great. Like he was, if you remember, like when this all started to turn around, Horvat was here and this team was on like a young and up and coming team. Brock Besser was the first guy to get here. He was here before Petey. He was here before Hughes. Like Brock was the guy, man, for like a while. And I think that's unfortunate that he hasn't lived up to his potential, but I really think his game is rounding out, right? Like I do think his game is rounding out. He may not be the guy, like his next contract, I don't think he's going to be in the sixes, right? Like he's not that guy. He's not a top six winger who really drives play. He's going to be more of a top six. Like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like he is more of a passenger top six guy, right? Like I think that's the way that I would look at Brock Besser. He's going to be effective in a top six role if he's playing his game and on a good line that makes sense, but he's not going to drive top six lines. And I think that's something that's going to be, into consideration on his next contract for sure. And I think if somebody's able to get Brock Besser at, somewhere in the fours on his next deal, they're going to be probably pretty happy with what he's doing, whether it be Vancouver or somebody like some other team. I think he's been finding it a little bit. We'll have to see what happens. I do think he's going to score 31 year, man, too. Like he still has a lot of talent, and I think he's going to get it 1 year. We'll see what happens moving forward. But do you want to get to our spotlight? This is the thing we've been trying to do on the show as the season kind of wraps up here, especially when there's a little bit of less news days. Yep, go ahead.
Quickly, I want to get this in. We don't have the tweet because I don't do any prep, but Jeff Patterson joining the hockey news. Not to shout out any competition or anything like that too much, but we're all happy for J-Pat, and I just wanted to get it in there. Wanted to congratulate Jeff. I'm sure both of us already reached out to us, or reached out to Jeff rather, excuse me. But Jeff Patterson joining the hockey news, really, really good news. Really good to see. Good to see Jeff back around the rink. When I eventually go back to the rink, I'm excited to be seeing Jeff there once again. So just quickly wanted to get that in. Congrats to Jeff Patterson for joining the hockey news. Kicking myself for not just bringing him on to Canucks Army, but it's okay.
I know. Well, was there no role of, cause this is what I felt. I'm obviously super happy for Jeff. He's just the manager. Like that's his job title there.
Hey, like that's a cool job title, man.
I know it's a cool job title, but you're missing, shouldn't you be like managing editor or like manager, assistant to the regional manager? Like it's kind of, you don't see the term just manager a lot. Like I used to be a manager at A&W in Woodgrove Mall. That's where like the term simply, like the simple word of manager kind of feels like a fast food spot to me. Right? Like I feel like these jobs in hockey where you're managing, writing and stuff like that, maybe they got to throw another word in there somewhere. When I just saw that Jeff is just the manager, I said, geez, that feels like a lot. Is he making the schedule for everybody's articles? Like that's what I did at A&W. Made the schedule for everyone's shifts. Ordered it in all the fries and the onion rings.
He's the only writer is the point. So he's editing his own work.
Yeah, they asked him like, "Hey, what do you want to be called?" And he said, "Jeff," like just said manager, and hung up the phone. And they're like, "God damn, give him whatever he wants." Okay. But yeah, good. Very happy for Jeff. Let's get to our spotlight on Rathbone. Let's get that cool graphic up here, Alex. My favorite. I work so hard on this every day here. I just, my spotlight. Look at that. You look on the ticker, and there it is. Spotlight, Jack Rathbone. So the stats don't really pop off the page for Jack Rathbone. He's got 10 NHL games this season, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, 12 shots. His expected control of goals for is 41.7%. That's not great. That means when he's on the ice, the expected goals, his team is only going to score 41% of them. And he's averaging 14 minutes and 7 seconds of ice time. I sent out the tweet and asked for some people to give their thoughts on Jack Rathbone as well. And we'll do the same thing here in the chat. I'll start it with you here, Quads. What is the future here for Jack Rathbone? And is there a future? I think could be another question you could ask here with the Vancouver Canucks and Jack Rathbone. He's in a tough spot. I think with the organization, but also in his own career, right? Like this is a guy who has some NHL talent. There is certainly a bunch of things in his game when he's playing his best. When he's playing his best, he's an NHLer. That's for sure. But the fit in Vancouver with guys like OEL and Quinn Hughes and, some other guys coming in here now on the left side, it is going to be very difficult for this guy to find that spot in the Vancouver Canucks lineup long term. And Rick Tocchet was asked about it today. He mentioned a couple things of like, hey, like, there's that. I think Kuz asked him, like, hey, there's that thought around the league that two small guys can't be in the lineup together. And Rathbone's not small. He's smaller. But can he also be in a lineup at the same time that Christian Wolanin's in and also Quinn Hughes is in? And Tocchet kind of said it's about the player, right? It's about what the player does with, I guess, being a little bit shorter. Can they still do the little things that make a lot of sense? And a lot of it is physically, right? Like you need to be able to chase pucks down in your own zone. You have to be quick to get that puck up to your forwards, everything. So your thoughts on Jack Rathbone and what's next? Like what's next for Rathbone as a Canuck?
Do you think, and I don't mean to just immediately pose a question to you, but it's more of a rhetorical question. It's just, I don't want to answer right now because I want to know how these final games go, right? Like he hasn't had a ton of time playing under Rick Tocchet, and we wondered aloud when when Tocchet took over, if maybe the Tocchet system and the team playing just overall better defense, like the forwards helping out a little bit more, supporting on breakouts, all that stuff we've seen under Rick Tocchet, maybe that would help Jack Rathbone be an overall better defenseman and that he would be able to find better results. I don't know about you, Chris, but so far so good. I think he's been good. I think he's at least deserves a longer look before we come to hard conclusions on him, right? I think that right now Jack Rathbone's going to get an extended look here, and obviously emergency recall kind of complicates things a little bit, but I think he needs to just run with whatever opportunity he's given and then come into camp. I think training camp is where it's basically make or break. And it's funny that we're saying that because that was kind of the conversation around Rathbone coming into this year, right? Like it was kind of like, this is the last or, first training camp of the rest of your life. You know what I mean? For Rathbone. So yeah. I think it's same sort of deal next year is what does he do after a summer? Does he look like he can be better? Like, let's be honest here. He's probably better than Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been this year, right? And sure. I know OEL, they're thinking of an OEL bounce back next year. We'll see what actually happens with OEL, but like it's the question of, is there a spot for Jack Rathbone on this team? And I think if he continues to play the way he has under 2-3 games under Rick Tocchet here, that he will have a spot. Like there will be a spot for him penciled in. He's got to go earn it in training camp, but there's a spot for Rathbone in this blue line. There has to be. If he earns it, there has to be a spot for him.
I don't think there is to start next season, right? I think he's an Abbotsford kid unless he's really like it's, Tocchet talked about it too. We have a quote from him we'll get in just a second here because I asked him about his initial impressions and basically a lot of the stuff you just said, Rick mentioned as well, but it's like Christian Wolanin's jumped him in the depth, and that's massive. It's going to really depend on what happens with OEL. Like we don't know. Nobody knows what's going on with OEL. OEL doesn't know what's going on with OEL. So whatever happens here, like the left side, to me, I think they're going to try and upgrade one of those spots. I think the two spots the Canucks are going to really try and upgrade this season are a guy who can play with Filip Hronek and a guy to play 3C. And if you bring in a guy who can play with Filip Hronek, that locks down your second pair. You already have OEL making, buttloads of money. Oh, how much I made at the casino last night. But Quinn Hughes is also there. It's very hard for me to find a spot when guys like, Christian Wolanin have jumped him in the depth charts. And Guillaume Brisebois even had a run here where like he can play with Tyler Myers, I think, and is probably a better fit with Tyler Myers than Jack Rathbone is. To me, it's about the fit, right? Like it's not like there's if the Canucks had a reliable right shot defenseman to play on your bottom pairing, Luke Schenn would be great option there. But like that guy would probably be playing with Quinn Hughes in the first place. It's why Luke Schenn was playing with Quinn Hughes, right? So it's not like they can build two pairings. They're not going to build a pairing for Jack Rathbone. He's got to just play himself into the lineup somehow. And I think a lot of that's going to come from his play in Abbotsford. But let's hear from Rick Tocchet. I asked him today about Jack Rathbone and his thoughts on him through a few games here and maybe what we can expect to see in the offseason. So here's Talkit talking about Rathbone.
I think these last couple of games he's played, he's come a long way. I think he's had just an okay year in the minors from what I've watched him a little bit, but I think there's once again there's something there. Can he take these whatever games he's going to play left? 5-6 games this year I think he's played. Can he take that into the next level? That's really what it comes down to. And then let's face it, in training camp, he's got to shine. He's got to be in one of the best shaped guys, and he's got to be from the day one. You want to impress the coaching staff, so he's got to gear himself up for that.
Yeah, he's going to need a Will Lockwood-esque training camp, as we remember out in Abbotsford. Will Lockwood dominant at that. But I do want to get to a comment a little bit earlier here in the chat. I did miss it, but I read it and I wanted to get back to it. Corey Anderson had a great comment here. Rathbone's biggest asset is running a power play, which this team doesn't need, and he struggles still to defend at this level. All pretty accurate, right? I think that's the thing. If Rathbone was a incredible defender, he would be playing with Filip Hronek. That would be your second pairing, but he's not at the NHL level yet. And it's a great point from Corey that Rathbone is at his best on a power play, right? That's what he did so well in Abbotsford last season. He's done it throughout his basically hockey life. And now with Hronek probably running the second unit next year, maybe there's a chance, because it sounds like Talkit likes two defensemen on the second unit. Rathbone's probably, to me, he's the third best option from the defense core to run a power play. So if you need three guys because you got to do two on the second unit, Rathbone makes sense. He's got the shot that can work from the right half wall as well, if that's the direction that you want to go with, or, kind of switch things up a little bit and do more of a two guys at the blue line type of thing. You have some options there, but it is going to be tough because of the style of play that he has. It's actually interesting. You can almost mix this in with and this is completely, I don't think anybody in Canucks podcast world is making this type of transition. But the Rathbone to Truscott transition, the reason why you like Jacob Truscott as a prospect is because he has such a great fit as a defenseman for what the Canucks are looking for. He's a support defenseman. You like these guys. He's a guy who can help kind of boost the player that he's playing with. Rathbone, I don't think, is that. Rathbone has some skills, but you want a player to play and fit with him. Guys like Jacob Truscott, Guillaume Brisebois is even kind of an example of that, who kind of just blends with another guy and can make a little bit of sense playing that way. And that's the other thing. It's the things that Rathbone does well are the same things that Christian Wolanin does well. He moves the puck really well. He probably does it better than Rathbone right now at the NHL level. Probably defends better than Rathbone at the NHL level. It's going to be really hard for Rathbone to find a spot here in the NHL. I think he'll start in Abbotsford if he's here next year and he's not dealt in the summer. And I think that'll be a really fun story for the Abbotsford Canucks, having Aiden McDonough and Jack Rathbone down there playing together, likely on the first power play unit. But right now, going into next season, I don't think Rathbone's going to be one of the 6 or maybe even 8 defensemen that they roll into the season with. I don't think he's in that spot, unfortunately. He needs a really good summer. He needs a really good camp. He needs to be really consistent throughout the year. Then he gets back in NHL games. But it's going to be difficult, man. It is going to be difficult, but at least the difficulty is coming from other guys playing well. Christian Wolanin coming here to this organization. Did we know who this guy was? Alex did. Alex was a big fan of the Ottawa Senators pick, but he's jumped Rathbone, and that's a good thing. That's internal competition kind of showing your depth chart how it should be. That is a good thing in the end. It's just unfortunate for Rathbone, who we both love. Been on this show a million times. We'll get him on in the summer again. But yeah, it's coming from the internal competition, and this is what happens. The players that you maybe really like as a person or really like as a prospect, they can get jumped by a veteran if the veteran finds a good role with an organization. I think that's what happened with Wolanin here.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Wolanin Rathbone comparison because Wolanin is higher than Rathbone on the team's depth chart, right? And you talked about the power play success for Rathbone. I'd say probably better at that than Wolanin is, but Wolanin's better at defending it. Okay, well, I think, let's just give it to Rathbone for argument's sake.
Yeah, sure. With Rathbone, he has a better shot, but what Wolanin was doing at the HL level on the power play was, there's a reason why he was the top of the league in points. He was really good on the power play.
And I think the thing that really separates them is that Willanen's probably better at defending at 5-on-5. And I think that's what you're looking for, in all honesty, in a third pairing defender. Like, you don't need a power play quarterback when it's a third pairing guy, right? So that's kind of the spot that Rathbone finds himself in, is it's just he really needs to improve on his defense. And look, like, I think he takes a little bit too much heat for that. Just sometimes you notice it where even decision making with, like, the split second before he gets the puck, I think that's where you notice it. It's not with the puck. Like, when he has the puck, usually he makes the right play. It's the split second before he's picking up the puck, like turning into danger, or not going the direction you thought he was gonna go. And it just, yeah, like I think that's it with Rathbone, is just the defending isn't quite up to NHL caliber, whereas Willanen, I think you give him the edge there. And I think that's what it's ultimately going to come down to, is which of these guys can defend better at 5-on-5, because that's what you're looking for in a third pairing guy. You don't need a power play quarterback in your third pairing defenseman when you have Quinn Hughes on your team, when you have Philip Roenick. I think that's what it really comes down to be honest with you. So yeah, like, you give the edge to a guy like Wallena here. So it's a big summer for Rathbone. It's a big summer for a lot of guys, and we keep talking about it. But Rathbone, that's a prime example of it.
Yeah, and I think what's also difficult for a guy like Jack Rathbone, who, listen, he's got the label, right? Fairly or unfairly, he's got the label that he's not a great defender at the NHL level. That type of label doesn't disappear after 2 or 3 good games. That label doesn't disappear after 2 or 3 good seasons sometimes for players, right? Like, every time that he is pushed off of a puck in the corner, people are noting it, because they're like, you already have that prior knowledge in your head of the label of him, like, oh, not being a great defender. So every time that he gets pushed around by a bigger guy, you're thinking, like, it clicks in your head. It just, there's something about it where you're like, like, this is a player who, is not good at this. And it's going to be very difficult for him to shake that. I think that's going to be really hard. Not being able to defend as a defenseman, that's a thing that it's not a great label to have. And I do think it's not exactly fair either. Like, I do think you can watch games with Jack Rathbone where he defends well throughout a whole game. Like, if he's playing 14 minutes tonight, I bet he doesn't make that many errors defensively in his own zone. It's also been a little bit difficult for him throughout the season. Consistency is obviously one thing. I think it's a good chance for him to get an opportunity to play in front of Rick Tocchet this year. But can we get his line mates up here, his pairing, the minutes here, Alex, with Jack Rathbone? Because we do just have a little list of who he's played with this season. 54 minutes with Kyle Burrows. That's the top guy he's been with. Not great Corsi numbers. Been on the ice for 2 goals for, 1 goal against. Ethan Barry's played 40 minutes with. He's been on the ice for 2 goals for, 2 goals against. Tyler Myers, here's the thing. This is the thing. Like, Jack Rathbone doesn't work with Tyler Myers. It's been shown over the years now in Jack Rathbone's small NHL career. They don't work well together. They've been on the ice for just shy of 12 minutes. No goals scored, 2 goals against. And that's what's really hard too, is the fact that Myers might end up being your third pairing guy, and Rathbone would have to win a spot there. Like, Wallenen makes a lot more sense with Tyler Myers just as a fit. And that's another knock against the chances for Rathbone to be an NHLer to start next season. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think, man, all the talk here about Christian Wallenen, I think he's going to be the next guy we have to spotlight here. And it might be a little more positive, which is unfortunate. We had a lot of, I still do have some hope that Rathbone has a really big summer this summer coming up here and gets an opportunity to play at the NHL next year. I hope that he is one of those guys that shines at training camp. He's going to turn 24 this summer. It's, do or die time. Last year, like, we talked about this at the start of the year, that it was go time for Rathbone. Like, Rathbone had to get up and go, make an impact. Now, next season's do or die, right? Are you going to be an AHL or are you going to be an NHLer? Like, training camp's going to tell you a lot about that with Jack Rathbone. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. I did see a comment in the chat here asking about Dollywall's tweeting about a right shot defenseman, Cole McWard. I've only seen him a couple games, but he's a right shot defenseman, 6'1" out of Ohio State. Scored a lot of goals this past year. Not the greatest analytics when I looked up some of the things. Just control of the expected goal share. I think he'd be a guy. Hey, listen, you get a 21-year-old right shot defenseman who scored a lot of goals in the NCAA last year. Sure, bring him in, play him in the AHL. This isn't a guy who's going to get an NHL gig, though. I don't think. I think this guy is more of a Canucks want to get these young guys in their young 20s into the AHL, just kind of boost up the prospect pool there. I think this is Cole McWard would be an example of that. So we'll have to see what happens. And I tell you what, when Ricky tweets about something, is a good chance it's going down. So that's that. Let's transition that into our prospect update here. Not a lot going on, and it's actually going to be interesting. Like the Blackfish articles, which I hope a lot of people enjoy over at Canucks Army, and the videos that we've been putting up here. I don't know how much longer they're going to go. We're like, prospects are getting eliminated left and right. We're running out of guys to talk about. They're not playing anymore. Summertime's coming up. All of Europe's rolling into like the final fours of their playoffs here. So quick little update. Jonathan Lekaremaki, his team is now 1-1 in their series. They won today. Big game for them. Liam Ogren, huge game for him. He was excellent tonight over there. You get what I'm saying. So they're 1-1 in their series now in the Allsvenskan playoffs. OHL playoffs. Josh Bloom is in. Connor Lockhart is in. Kirill Kudryavtsev, he's out. The Sioux Greyhounds, they didn't make it into the OHL playoffs. But Bloom is. Lockhart is. And Bloom's been really good so far early on in the OHL playoffs. They're still in the first round. So we'll have to see what happens there. There's a chance that Bloom and Lockhart could meet up in the Eastern Conference Finals of the OHL playoffs. That would be a lot of fun. But Bloom's been awesome. Gonna have to spend some time watching him a little bit more this summer and do some breakdowns there. As for the SHL playoffs, Philip Johansson and Elias Pettersson, DPD, they're still going. Lucas Forsell, he's out. They lost in Game 7 to Philip Johansson there. But Johansson was great, by the way, scored in Game 5 and Game 7, but we talked about that last week on the show. So a little bit of prospect update. As for Elias Pettersson, by the way, DPD, his team has moved on. Orebro, they're on to the next round. But DPD's not playing. He's averaging a minute, less than a minute actually over his last 5 SHL playoff games. So he's unfortunate. That's a tough way to end his year after he's been, I think, a really big piece for that defense core throughout the season. They're not giving him minutes in the playoffs, which is really unfortunate because he was damn good throughout the whole season. So interesting numbers here on the poll, by the way, I see on YouTube. Third pair D-man was the question. Christian Wolanin, 59%. Jack Rathbone, 41%. So like a lot of people hoping for, I think a lot of people are hoping for Rathbone, but I don't know if I'm betting on it at this point. Like Wolanin's been good, and it's unfortunate for Rathbone, but that's the way she goes. Sometimes she goes like last night at the casino. Sometimes she doesn't go.
All right, odds and ends. And before that, a lot of people in the chat, YouTube live chat, discussing many defensemen on the team. Ethan Bear is a subject of conversation right now, so maybe he'll be our spotlight tomorrow, Chris. I say Ethan Bear is our guy tomorrow since we've basically talked about Wolanin. Okay, odds and ends. Let's go.
Yeah, I should quickly just do a mock-up for Wolanin spotlight, and Alex can just throw that in here. All right, let's wrap up with odds and ends. I didn't even have much here. All I wanted to add was, the Kraken tonight. Canucks are playing them here in Vancouver. It's good for the Canucks to get this experience against playoff teams late in the season. This is why, you give Hirose the opportunities and stuff like that. But I mentioned it earlier. The Kraken, they beat the Arizona Coyotes 8-1 last night. So they're coming in scoring a lot of goals. And check this out, Quads. Actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you the question because I like doing this. How many players on the Seattle Kraken have double-digit goals this season?
3.
I love it when your answers are horrible. They have 13 players with double-digit goals.
In my head, I was like 20 plus. How many 20 plus? I'm saying 3.
How many with 20 plus? Well, that's the thing. Jared McCann. Hey, you nailed it with that. They do have 3 with 20 or more.
That's what I thought the question was, to be clear.
No, I don't think so. Jared McCann, 37 goals on the year. So, Canucks draft pick, Jared McCann.
He's killed penalties for them too. Like he's been really, really good for them. Obviously gets that contract recently. It's a good year for him. Do you think he touches 40? 73 games played for him. The Kraken have 4 games left? 5? Five games left, I believe.
6 games
or
left,
6.
Actually.
They have 6. Yeah. Yes, including
okay. Yeah, you mentioned he's got 3 shorthanded goals. Nice little run. McCann's been good. He's really found it, man. Would be nice. All right. I think that's all I got today. I gotta go decide what to do with all this Quads money I'm getting here. I feel like you and Harm on the show. Which, by the way, do we have an update for Harm this week? What's going on? He's Friday. He's going out.
Harmon's here on Thursday. Friday, no
Harmon's
show
here on
because it's Good
Thursday.
Friday. Yeah.
Right. No show on Friday. No show on Friday or Monday because I got a turkey dinner on Monday. I got to get to that.
No show Friday or
Actually,
Monday.
here's the thing. So my mom texted me about Thanksgiving. What's going on here? April? What is this? Easter?
Easter.
That's what I knew that. Easter's coming up. And my mom texted me because she's like, oh, like, are you coming over for Easter dinner? I said, yep. She said, what day? I said, I think Monday makes more sense for us. And then this is the text I get back from it about, because I'm just expecting a turkey. Or here's the thing. I'll let a ham slide, okay? The ham can slide on Easter. You can have the ham on Easter. You don't bring the freaking ham near me on Thanksgiving. I don't want any of that. Thanksgiving is a turkey day. But I'll let the ham slide if that's the thing. But here's the text I get back from my mom. She says, we're going to try some different things this year at Easter dinner. Like a very eerie text message about what we're going to be eating at Easter dinner. Don't anybody, no, actually, Easter, you can have the ham, but you put a little pineapple on there and some hot mustard. I normally bring I'll bring 3 mustards if I'm having a ham dinner to the dinner, but I'm a little worried. I'll have to report back on Tuesday on what the hell this different thing was that we're having for Thanksgiving, or what's go. I can't say Easter dinner because it doesn't feel like a real holiday. It's a real deal holiday. Anyways,
It is.
all right. You're getting tired of this. You got a yapping dog in the background.
That's more bird talk too. You got more bird talk on it.
There we go. You know what? The whole thing today, owls were big when I logged into YouTube today. Owl cams, which I think I might like that more. I think we have to do an owl cam eventually here.
Yeah, the owl cam is pretty cool.
Look at there's our eagle. Wow, just perched up.
Did we name him? I called him Eddie.
Yeah, I think it's Alex. Or no, wait, we have an Alex already on this show. We can't have producer Alex and Eagle Alex. All right, let's get out of here. I'm done. I'm freaking cooked on this show. Oh, he can't.
Wow, we get another one.
Oh, he's got a little baby.
Oh, there's babies. Wow, that's cool. Okay, sorry, podcast listeners. We'll close it out there as our YouTube viewers get a view of Mama Eagle with her babies. That is truly magnificent. See the flies? Look at the tail. Yeah, the flies crawling all over. Just chilling. Okay, we'll close it out there. For my co-host Chris Faber and our technical producer Alex Allard. My name is David Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
The Eagles are coming after each other. Tank it up, Alex. Tank it up.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thing?